There's a comforting little lie we tell ourselves about smart people, that they were simply born that way. Some kids got handed the genius genes, the rest of us got what we got, and that's the end of the story. But decades of brain science say something almost the opposite, and it's far more hopeful than the lie. Intelligence is not a fixed gift you're handed at birth and stuck with forever. To a surprising degree, it's something that gets built, assembled over years, out of effort, environment, and the way your brain physically reshapes itself around what you do. The genius you admire wasn't just born. In large part, they were constructed. And once you understand how that actually works, the whole idea of being smart changes, including what it means for you. Let's start by cracking the myth that your intelligence is set in stone. We tend to treat IQ like height, a number mostly decided by your genes, locked in for life. And to be fair, genes do matter here. We'll come back to that because it's important. But here is the first crack in the born smart story, and it's a big one. Across the entire 20th century, average IQ scores didn't stay flat. They climbed, steadily, by roughly 3 points every single decade, in country after country, all around the world. This is one of the most well-documented findings in psychology, and it even has a name, the Flynn Effect. Now think carefully about what that means. Human genes do not meaningfully change in a few decades. Our DNA in the year 2000 was basically identical to our DNA in 1950, and yet measured intelligence shot upward across entire populations. Whatever was driving that climb, it could not have been genetics, it was the environment. As the world became more complex, more abstract, more mentally demanding, human brains rose to meet it. So here's the question that opens up. If the environment can lift the intelligence of an entire population, what could the right environment and the right effort do for a single brain? For your brain? To answer that, you have to understand the single most important fact about the organ inside your skull. Your brain is not a finished machine. It's more like clay, constantly reshaping itself around how you use it. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, and there's one study that shows it better than almost any other. In London, to become a licensed black cab driver, you have to pass a famously brutal test called the knowledge. For years, drivers memorized the city's impossibly tangled maze of streets, thousands of them, until they can navigate it all from memory. So researchers did something clever. They scanned the brains of these drivers, and they found something remarkable. The region tied to spatial memory, a structure called the hippocampus, was physically larger in the taxi drivers than in regular people, and the longer someone had been driving, the bigger it had grown. Their effort had literally reshaped their brains. The same thing shows up when people learn to juggle or pick up an instrument. The brain grows new gray matter in exactly the areas being trained. You are not stuck with the brain you were born with. Every single day, through what you practice, you are quietly building the brain you'll use tomorrow. And this isn't limited to memory tricks. It reaches all the way to intelligence itself. One of the most striking findings in modern psychology is deceptively simple. Staying in school actually raises your IQ. When researchers pooled together dozens of separate studies, the pattern was clear and consistent. Each additional year of education is linked to a real measurable bump in IQ, on the order of a few points per year. And not because students just memorized answers for a test. It's because sustained, structured learning trains the underlying machinery of thinking itself. Intelligence, it turns out, behaves less like a fixed trait you're stamped with, and more like a muscle that grows under load. So if intelligence is built, the obvious question is, how? What actually does the building? And the answer is the part nobody wants to hear. It isn't comfort. The pattern behind almost every genuinely high performer is deep, deliberate, effortful practice, deliberately working right at the edge of your ability, in the zone where it's hard, where you struggle, where you fail, and adjust and try again, over and over, for years. That uncomfortable edge is exactly where the brain rewires the fastest. The person you think of as a natural genius usually isn't the person who found it easy. They're the person who stayed inside the difficulty longer than everyone else was willing to. Which sounds incredibly inspiring, and this is exactly where I have to stop and be completely honest with you. Because this is the precise point where the internet starts selling you a fantasy. Because there's a whole industry built on a distorted version of everything I just said. So let's be straight. First, those brain training apps that promise to boost your IQ if you just play their little games for a few minutes a day? The research on them is brutal. Overwhelmingly, what happens is you simply get better at the game itself. And those gains almost never transfer to real-world intelligence. Getting faster at a pattern puzzle on your phone does not make you sharper at life. One major brain training company was even fined millions for overselling exactly that promise. There is no cheat code, no 5 minutes a day shortcut to genius. Second, genes are real, and they genuinely matter. They don't write your destiny, but they do shape the range you're working within. How quickly you pick certain things up, where your natural ceilings tend to sit. Built, not born, does not mean that anyone with enough effort can become Einstein. That would be its own kind of lie. And third, meaningfully raising your intelligence is genuinely hard and genuinely slow. It comes from years of real, effortful learning, not from a trick, an app, or a supplement. So the honest version of this story isn't the fantasy that you can become a limitless, unlimited genius. It's something quieter and far more true. Your intelligence is dramatically more changeable than you were ever led to believe. And the single lever that moves it is sustained, effortful learning. Working within a range your biology helps to set. But sit for a moment with how freeing that quieter truth actually is. The belief that smart people are simply born that way is a trap. It whispers something poisonous. That the moment something feels hard, you've hit your natural limit, and you should probably just stop. That struggle is a sign you don't have it. The science says the exact opposite. The struggle isn't proof that you're not smart enough. The struggle is the precise moment your brain is being built. That discomfort you feel when something is just beyond your reach. That's not the ceiling. That's the construction site. Every genius you have ever admired was, to a large degree, assembled out of years of effort, difficulty, and learning that physically reshaped their brain cell by cell. You are not locked out of that process. You are made of the very same clay. The only real question left is what you choose to keep building. If this made your brain itch in the best way, that's exactly what this channel is for. Subscribe and stick around. Because there is nothing stranger and nothing more worth understanding than the mind you live inside every single day.